Well, Sharon, great to see you. Wonderful to be together again and sharing a little bit about our passion for the world of Qigong and Tai Chi. And really looking forward to sharing together a little bit today.
Well, as always, I'm thrilled to be with you, John, and with all of you out there. John's students, friends, supporters, all of you wonderful people who really have become a major part of the way of nature, which is such a beautiful teaching that John has brought forth. And today we really want to also talk about quantum chi. Quantum Chi is a series that I've been working on for quite a while now, and John is one of the many wonderful masters. There's about 30 actually, including people like Lee Holden, Master Li Jianfeng, who actually was a martial arts film star and head of the Beijing Wushu team, and Amalia Wai-Ching Lee, Daisy Lee, Dr. Effie Chow, Dr. Roger Yonka, Robert Peng, so many wonderful, wonderful people. And I really wanted John to be a part of it, partly because his teaching is so profound. And also, we are here in Crestone. And Crestone has supplied such gorgeous backgrounds and areas for us to film, because wild nature is so beautiful here. So I don't know how many people know, John, about your background. I know that John worked with many amazing masters in China, Tai Chi and Qigong. So tell us a little about that.
Yeah, I was very lucky to spend time with a number of classical masters from those fields. Plus, I worked extensively with the senior students of Cheng Man Ching and Tai Chi, starting back in the 60s, late 60s. And Qigong back in the 50s. I began working with my first teachers in the 50s, which is way back. And then eventually I was able to travel to Southeast Asia and to China and began doing a lot of work with some of the highly realized masters of China and the Himalayan region. I remember I used to teach, after I learned Tai Chi, I began to teach Tai Chi in the courtyard of the Kathmandu guest house and taught a lot of Nepalese friends of mine the Yang style Tai Chi system from Cheng Man Ching. And that was back in the 60s and 70s. So I've been at it for a while. And one of the things that I began doing around the same time was studying with some amazing teachers from the Dzogchen tradition. Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche had a profound impact on me in my life, and trying to pass along what he gave me to some of my students best I can. But the Dzogchen view and the field of liberation that's carried by some of these top Dzogchen masters is so powerful and so profound, and also lays a tremendous base for opening up the realization of the Tao, which is another name or another word for the unnameable. And so I was very fortunate to begin working with some of these Dzogchen teachers again around the same time in the 60s and 70s, and continued that on through the decades until now. So one of the things we've been trying to do is to integrate some of the Taoist internal alchemy and the teachings related to direct comprehension of this mystery of the Tao, that which cannot be named, with the view of Taoist internal alchemy and working with the energy body in such a way that it clears away the obscurations and the blockages that make it more difficult to realize a liberated energy body. When the energy body is truly liberated, then there's a capacity for really the liberation of the energy body to support a mind, an awakened mind, in a way that's not really so possible if you're filled with blockages, obscurations, and shadows which are filling up the continuum of being. It's very hard to realize your essential nature, your true nature, if you have those difficulties. So we've worked a lot with these systems from Taoism to clarify, to purify, and to transmute these energy blockages so that the Energy runs free, clear, open in the chakras, and the meridians and channels are free of obscurations and blockages, which allow one to come into a more liberated energy body state.
And healthy.
Yes, and healthy.
It's from those teachings, I began receiving Dzogchen teachings in 1985 from my teacher Namkhai Norbu Rinpoche. Dzogchen, if you don't know about it, it's from Tibet, and it is called the Great Perfection. It is the teaching that is the pinnacle of the Tibetan tradition, whether it be Bon or Buddhist. So it's a profound teaching, which I love how John incorporates that into his work. And in Quantum Chi, we use animation, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a lot of fun to bring forth these animations, and the animation also, the aesthetic for me has to do with the ancient Chinese paintings from early dynasties. And so, but we show the energy body, and we even show in the second episode, we start going into the how your energy affects other people and their energy affects you, and how the emotions affect you. So, for example, we see someone who is very angry, screaming, and then you see this kind of jagged red, dark energy. And you see two people fighting, and you see how one is kind to grab the energy from the other one starts shrinking. So that's been something I've been looking at as a healer, as a filmmaker, as a dancer forever, as a global fusion world dancer scholar. I have been looking at how do we heal, and these teachings, especially this convergence, this melding that John has brought forth with the way of nature, are profound and really, really important right now. We've been going through COVID. It's interesting because I was working on episode 2, and for some reason, I put in a whole 20 minutes about protective chi and how to build your immune, your body, your energy body, and your immune system. And that was right before COVID hit.
That's true. I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Powerful. One of the things that Sharon has done that I really admire is I have a passion for finding the common ground, the interfaith, intercultural principles around spiritual cultivation. And Sharon has done much the same thing. She's gone very deep into classical Indian dance. She's gone very deep into a number of course, into Qigong and Tai Chi now. But she studied really movement as a system, and also its relationship to the sacred feminine, the divine feminine. She's done a wonderful book on the goddess aspect of the cosmos, which I recommend to you all. And she's brought all of these teachings together in a way that has allowed her to integrate them and bring them into a kind of common ground approach related to movement. And I really admire that. I think that's a unique thing that we need these days. We need to have pathways that are not so bound by the institutions and the various structures that have held many of these profound teachings in the past. We need to find out what is their core essence, what do they have to bring that can be shared with others, and what are those teachings, what do they have in common from one culture to another? So we can come from a common ground and not always spend our time battling about who's got the best religion or about the best practice or the best technique or meditation approach or best teacher or best culture.
That common ground is really important. I worked in schools for a number of years throughout the East Coast, hundreds of schools, bringing dance and music and story. And I found that through storytelling and the embodiment of story, you could do lots of things that they might say, oh no, that's too spiritual, that's too... So you're like in an Indian story from India, and of course you'd be sitting in meditation. So that's one way that I've used to bring forth these very deep teachings.
We in the way of nature, one of the things that Sharon and I should explore one of these days, we have a movement system called Gaiaflow. Now, Gaiaflow is based initially on how indigenous peoples, nature-connected peoples move, how they step. How can you step so you make minimal noise? If you're tracking, you're hunting, your life and your family's life may depend upon being able to move in silence, in a state of complete stillness, so that as you move, you can stop moving in any moment. If you're having to hunt a deer, for example, the way a cat hunts a deer is to move through the forest or the plains. As soon as the deer finishes browsing in the grass and lifts its head, the lion or the big cat stops. If one foot's up in the air, that foot stays up in the air. It's completely still, integrated, grounded, rooted, in a state of deep integration with the earth. And there's no movement in the body whatsoever. And then as soon as the deer's head goes down, once again, the cat is able to flow in movement. And the movement goes, so you place that foot down, and the moment that foot is placed, if it feels a little leaf or a twig, it pulls back, it moves the foot off to the side, and it places it down in a place where there's no leaf, crack or crunch or a twig to break. And so the game is not disturbed. So these great cats learn how to move in great silence, stillness, and spaciousness. In the Taoist classics around Tai Chi, one entire chapter of the Tai Chi classics, which I use as a guide for my teaching of Tai Chi, one entire paragraph or one entire chapter of the Tai Chi classics is one line. The one line says, "Move like a cat. Move like a cat." Fantastic. So we created a system that's based on how indigenous peoples move, how they've learned over thousands of years of being in harmony with nature, how to move with a kind of tremendous integration. And then we move up to that spin master, we move to the level of Qigong and Tai Chi, taking principles from that and bring them into the movement system of Gaiaflow. And then thirdly, after we've done that, we learn how to invoke shamanically the different elements, the different animals, different beings of nature to be our dance partner. And then we flow in harmony with our dance partner in nature, be it a mountain lion or a bear, or the flow of a stream, or the way clouds swirls in the sky.
Well, in quantum chi, we take that a step further. We have been using drones, and I'd say 99.9% of all of the footage in beautiful nature, really all over the world, these giant trees in Bali and beautiful nature, because I wanted to give that experience to the viewers of immersing themselves in the beauty of nature and the flow of the movement in relation to the sky and the earth and the trees and the wind. My dream from the beginning, when I came to Qigong, and I had come from craniosacral therapy, Feldenkrais, a number of healing traditions, as well as dance traditions from around the world. And Qigong seemed to just bring so much of it together in a way that's so accessible to people of all ages and all health conditions. You know, we really, right now, it's time to really go in and learn how to take care of ourselves. And these teachings of Qigong, I feel, should be spread throughout the world, because they're not just someone telling you what to do, take a pill, do this. This is really self-healing, and John's exercises really bring you into the essence of what he has been teaching. Particularly, I love the teachings about inner nature, outer nature, and true nature.
As you mentioned the drones, one of the shoots that Sharon and I did, I guess about a year ago, we were on a beautiful stone here that's often called the Dragon Head. And as we did a sensing hands push hand practice on top of this dragon head structure. It was fantastic. As we did that, one of the shots that we got was a drone lifting up from below the dragon head stone, which is a gigantic boulder, and it lifted up and then hovered while we were doing the sensing hands push hands practice together, and then it lifted up above us into the sky above us, and you could see this vastness of 14,000 foot peaks all around us, and then the spaciousness of this 8,000 foot high valley, the San Luis Valley, and a sense of space and openness and kind of boundlessness. It was very much like what you see in a beautiful Taoist painting. You see one little figure in the background, and then they're sitting in a beautiful overview spot, and then surrounded by maybe waterfalls and mountain ridges, and then the vastness of space. And of course, the space element is closest to true nature. The space element and the sky like awareness aspect of our being, really is a direct guide to come back and return to the source, true nature aspect of ourselves. So when you had that drone shot going up and taking the practice of the sensing hands, which is really about two people coming together and working to discover each other's blockages. It's really a way of helping each other discover where you're holding obscurations, blockages, resistances, and tension. And then to lift, and of course the main way that you discover that is by dropping into your true nature.
Yes.
When you're in your true nature, you're boundless, you're open, you're empty, you're relaxed, you're spaciousness, and there's really no, if you're skillful at opening at any point where your partner is coming in, there's a vastness there. So that vastness can't be pushed. There's nothing to push. It's just space. So it's a wonderful practice to open up the experience of inner space in the inner nature. And then to have the drone lift up into the vaster sky and the outer spaciousness of the sky-like vastness of Crestone was the perfect conclusion to the shot of us doing the sensing hands. And then, of course, the whole process itself is held by the sky-like awareness of our true nature, which is supported in its opening by both the practices of inner nature and outer nature that were put in by the drone. So we've been having some fun talking about how to integrate some of our training in Dzogchen with some of the work that we've been doing in Taoist internal alchemy. And I think we might do some more work in the future.
Oh yes, and we definitely want to talk about one of my favorite texts called The Secret of the Golden Flower.
Yes. Classic.
Yeah.
I had a meditation center in Bisbee, Arizona for some years called the Golden Flower, where we taught Tai Chi, Qigong, and many of these practices. Fantastic place. I'm kind of sorry to have had to let it go some years ago, but the Golden Flower is a beautiful text about how to turn the light around, how to, instead of constantly go out and kind of disseminate yourself, scatter yourself in the outer world, to turn the entire experience of life and the perceptions of all the experiences, including the energy body, back into that boundlessness of the inner nature, true nature aspect of ourselves. It's a profound text and a very enlightening text, which can sit proudly right there with the rest of the Dzogchen texts that many of us know about these days.
Well, what's beautiful about Crestone is that you really get that sense of spaciousness, the sky and quietude. Actually, some people have said it's one of the quietest places on the planet. There's this sense you can look into, gaze into the vast spaciousness of the sky, and watch your thoughts arise and dissolve, so your mind becomes like that sky.
It's great. So we're very fortunate. And everyone really has that capacity to do the kind of cultivation which allows you to realize this with the support of the elements. One of the things that I love about the way of nature's approach to Qigong and Tai Chi is that we work with the elements as a way to not just to connect with nature itself, but also to open up the inner nature aspect, to refine the inner nature aspect, and begin to experience the elements of water and wood and fire and earth and metal stone within ourselves. So we can feel the hardness, the metal-like quality of our bone structure. We can feel the fluidity and the flow of the blood vessels, the arteries and veins as these rivers within us flow. We can learn how to connect with being like a tree, holding ourselves like with this core trunk, and then the limbs coming off the trunk, and then the little leaves coming off the trunk. We can dance with the fire element, the fire within our spirit, which has the outer fire supporting us in the sun, and the fire within the earth and the volcanoes. So we get a chance to really dance with these, and of course the earth element. And we get to dance with these elements and see them as not just outer elements, but what make us up. This dance of the inner elements, when refined, actually begins to allow you to realize that each elemental aspect has a fundamental sound quality and a fundamental quality of light, which when liberated begins to liberate the entire physical body in a profound way. So Creststone is a great place to work with this because the elements are very pure, very unblocked. There's been very little pollution here compared to most places. So when you're connected with the elements, it invokes kind of inner purification of your own elemental body, so that you're much more easily able to access a purified form of your own elements or nature. This is a huge gift.
And this is a place where we can return to that true nature. We can leave the craziness, divisive, all those things that are going on out there in the political world out there. We can leave them behind and find our true essence, find our joy, and work from what we're calling now an emergent way, in communion with the elements, in communion with each other, to realize the gifts that we all have inside as human beings and nurture those gifts and use these amazing teachings to release the pain and the blockages and the murky chi and all the qualities of chi that are disturbing us. And even in the Dzogchen teachings, I love all the work with the emotions. And John does a lot of work with emotions.
We just spent 3 years working on shadow work within the way of nature and developed a series of techniques, 7 approaches to transform emotional blockages. And then we apply them at the level of the physical body, the level of the energy body, the level of the mental body, the level of the emotional body, the level of the ancestral patterns we all carry, and then finally the karmic traces that we bring through from one lifetime to another. So, and it's an interfaith, intercultural approach to the 7 techniques that we use, which include the self-liberation approach from Dzogchen as the ultimate level of transmutation. So we feel very fortunate being able to work together here and be able to hang out together and share some of the common ground that we've discovered in our own paths, which in our case have happened to join together Dzogchen and Taoist internal alchemy. So it's been great to hang out together, spend some time exploring these things.
Oh, it's been wonderful, wonderful. And if you want to know more about quantum chi, you could go to quantumchimovie.com. You could write to us at quantumchimovie@gmail.com. And
don't miss the films that are going to be coming out here soon.
Well, I hope so. We're in discussions, so we'll see where it's going. We finished 2 episodes, and I filmed, like the vision was for 8, each one getting deeper and deeper. So there was an episode in Vision, there is one about nature itself and our experience with nature, the nature of our mind, which is really the Dzogchen teachings.
And we have that passion in common. So thank you, Sharon, for coming here today. We're actually in your studio with this beautiful lotus behind us, and it's great to connect. We've been having a lot of fun together over the years, sharing practice and cultivation and time.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Thank you all for being with us. We look forward to more.